That's Charles clapping his hands because he wants to make sure there's a signature somewhere in there that we can catch up with the soundtrack over here. I am sitting with Charles from Fields of Green for All and Stop the Cops, and we wanted to come and catch up with Charles. It's an interesting time in the cannabis industry, and so much is centered around the industry is bubbling under, and there's no regulation that's being supportive assistance to those that are trying to engage in the industry and build the industry, which is a government um, concern. It's something that they should be taking care of, should have. It's a long time now. But also, and more importantly, is the police and the ongoing role that they play in, I'm going to say, derailing the cannabis industry, derailing the efforts of job creation, etc., etc. And none of them have a clear mandate that they're operating from. So we sit in a position where our risks are on our sleeves every single day of our lives while we try and build this industry. And the least we could expect, the least we could ask for, is that the police step down until such times as there is proper regulation and you understand who the criminals are versus who the people are that are building an industry and creating jobs. So, pardon me for the lengthy intro. I'm here and I want to chat with Charles. Charles, morning. Thank you
Hello,
very much for making time for us.
you're welcome.
It's always lucky to catch up and come to the Jazz Farm and talk to you. Let's open the conversation and ask you what is the most important thing for you within the sphere that you're operating in that needs to be addressed in the cannabis industry.
Rory, I take phone calls at Fields of Green for All, and where most of my calls used to be about arrests, the public phone the number on our website. Gradually, over the last 7 or 8 years, the calls have shifted towards people that want to start shops, clubs, or similar instances in the cannabis industry. But the arrests have not stopped. We've always said we wanted to stop the cops, and even though arrests are down because people are seeing the light, hearts are changing, dogmas get erased, or people get to new points of view. But we are sitting on a corrupt police force that we know is corrupt, and also a police force that's been doing cannabis arrests for ever since we can remember. Uh, this year we have the centenary of cannabis prohibition, so it's been 100 years, and also, we've been sitting here for like a year since the president signed the Cannabis for Private Purposes Act into law. It was a bill before. There were various instances of the bill before it was signed into an act, and those instances all vary. And because the public are not law experts, they often, when the instances were discussed, they would say, "Oh, the government is now discussing having this limit on plants or that kind of regulation," and then they believed it and perpetuated it on social media. A lot of people are, because cannabis is such a complex subject, they like to repeat what they've heard, and it's not always the truth. And I think our modern internet world is to blame for the spread of misinformation when it comes to cannabis. People phone me every day, and everybody has a different impression of what is legal, what is not, how to operate, what is an acceptable way to proceed, and what is not. And that is not just in part, but greatly to blame on the government for not following the Act with regulations. There's nothing that compels them to bring out the regulations within a specific time frame. So they can take forever if they want, or if, God forbid, they will not pass regulations at all. But we're stuck with what we have at the moment. And what we have is the privacy judgment of 2018, and we've got police circulars and directives that have been sent out. There's one from August 2023 that clearly instructs the police to stop arresting us for cannabis and to consider the situation there and then. And rather than just putting people in cages, tell me to come and appear in court, but don't take all my stock and all my flour and call me a dealer before anything has been proved.
I agree with you. Having seen the directives and knowing the directives are there, that's a call to the police force to behave in a certain way. And never mind the don't put us at risk of financial concern from a government point of view, but respect what's been asked of you, I think is where it's at. A question quickly for you within there is just the fact that you get all these phone calls and there's a level of confusion stroke misinformation. Is the general consensus the fact that cannabis is now legal?
Yes.
How misguided is that, sadly, for us that are in the industry, that there's a large fraternity of people that believe cannabis and cannabis trade is legal rather than it's decriminalized? And what state are we in at the moment regarding regulation? How do we understand what is it? What are we allowed to do and what are we not allowed to do in the
Well,
industry?
I'd like to speak just personally, not on behalf of Fields of Green. For my impression at the moment is that the Cannabis for Private Purposes Act is a little bit unworkable in the end. There's so much in there that makes no sense. I think that in a way, um, government's been shot in the foot with the privacy judgment, because the privacy judgment does not allow or mention that the trade will be legal. So trade remains illegal. However, people like to jump to conclusions. They like to assume that what they want is true, which is visible if we look around us in all these shops that are operating as traditional healers. Section 21. There's all kinds of things people try and believe to say, oh, this is how it's going to work. Because also they've been told by somebody else, Section 21 is the only way to go because medicine is so important. No, medicine is more or less 10% of the market, maybe. If you really want to make money out of cannabis, you have to sell flower or edibles or whatever, but we're not allowed to do that. Trade is illegal. So the only real thing we have to go on is the privacy judgment, you know. So private clubs, if it comes to a grey area, clubs are at least saying we believe we're acting under the guise of privacy as responsible adults. But a shop and a Section 21, that's not the way to go.
Yes, I mean, for me, I don't think we're anywhere near that in terms of trying to assume that's what the law says. But
Yeah.
I think that, you know, within the club space, there's this requirement to, you can't call yourself a club because that seems to be where the space is. There's a
Yeah.
set of behaviors.
Many people call their shops clubs.
Yeah. So
Or their clubs shops.
point being, what does club stand for? Is it part of a name or is it part of a behavior and a set of rules, stroke vetting processes that keep it all within the club space? Are you with what I'm saying? And I think
Yes.
the moment you get out of that and you don't run a proper system of track and traceability for your members, track and traceability of the exchange of funds, farmers being paid, outlets that provide the service being paid,
Yeah.
what it is. So that line and chain of command from a financial point of view, being able to be audited. You spoke just now of the benefit. So I think concluding that is there's a set of behaviors that you have to participate in to consider yourself or be representing what you speak of in terms of a club. I think is important.
I'm glad you're putting it like that, because I was for a moment worried you'd use the word comply. Because I think why a lot of people don't quite understand clubs, or why it's a difficult concept to grasp when it's being explained, is that clubs are not legal or illegal. There's no set of regulations from
100%.
government to say this is what you have to comply to. If you tick these boxes, you are a legit
I love
private
it.
club. It doesn't
I
exist.
love it. It's an
We are
argument.
good,
That's all it
yeah,
is.
we are good people disobeying bad laws. We're trying to make the best of a bad situation, and that's where clubs come in. They're based on the privacy judgment. None of the other reasons people make shops are you know, they're not founded in existing documentation, really. Section 21 is there to provide people access to unregulated medicine. It's not there as allowance for trade in cannabis. And neither is a traditional healer's license,
Jeez.
actually. If you are a traditional healer with a license and you're using that license to sell cannabis, you are not only breaking the law, you're also insulting your culture.
Yeah. Look, I wouldn't want to know where to draw that line because we do. We have a heritage. We have legitimate plant-based medicines. and cannabis goes back probably beyond the 8,000 or so years that we think we can record it from.
Yes.
So it's been around a long time. It's been legal, illegal, not considered, not needing to fall into a category of legal or illegal through its lifespan. So
Hmm.
it's really tough to make a call on anyone's perspective on why they should be entitled to have a plant. Do you know what I mean? So
Yes.
in the regulation space, there's this overthinking of the fact that it's a plant and we're adults, and I think that's the thing that needs to be understood back to the cops is that these are adult people. I mean, go in police spaces where you believe that there's underage exploitation of, even if it's cannabis, but there's a whole lot of other things. But that's the space you should be concerned about. You should be concerned about the fact that people are adhering to a set of principles, but stand back and allow the industry, which is one of the only industries that is creating jobs and defying the current trend of unemployment.
And
And
paying tax.
I
All
think that's
these
it.
illegal
Go
shops are paying tax.
talk through that a little bit about the value that's already in the coffers of the government via those that are operating, be you legal or illegal, the tax part of it that's changing hands.
I don't think we should see government as one person, which is the mistake we often make. Government is a whole group of people in different departments, and they have conflicting opinions. Whereas one person would like to open a door, and they may do so, somebody else is going to close a window. So, if you look at the four platforms of cannabis on our website, it's traditional use, it's medicinal use, it's responsible adult use, and it's medicinal. So the one that we say is the umbrella over the other three is adult use, because traditional, industrial, and medicinal will not fall into place until adult use is legal.
Yes, and stop there for a second. Adult use rather than responsible adult use. And I think that's an important point. We're adults. Where is it and who is it that gets to start deciding over
Adult
the
already means
responsible part?
you are responsible,
Kind of,
should be
so it's even a
responsible.
term that should be sidekick to the fact
Yeah.
that we've got an adult conversation going on. You're not a decision as to whether we are responsible adults or irresponsible adults.
Yes.
Adults happens at a certain point and you respect that kind of thing.
Mm. At the expo, there was such a strong push for medicine. Now, we always say we're not sick, we don't want to make socks, we just want to get high.
Like that.
And also with the Section 21s and that, we often like to use the phrase lie to get high, because that's what it is.
Yes, that goes right back to the good people disobeying bad laws,
Yeah.
Charles, if I can, it's not specifically in your space, but caught up with you at the expo. What was your general take on the expo and what was on offer?
The expo, just as the many phone calls I receive, have indicated to me something I've noticed very recently, only in the last few months. The questions I get asked are moving to a higher and higher business level, which is more towards franchising. People asking me about supply chains, where can they buy in bulk? Where I used to get only requests from people that want to do shops or clubs or want to get into the industry. Now it's people that are already in the industry that are hungry for supply and or offset. There's a definite step up from where we were at the previous expo, and I've noticed this over the years from expo to expo how the scene is changing. There was a time when you couldn't see any flower around at the expo, and now there's um, medibles and flower, so people can buy cannabis in edible form and they can get the flower, because I believe the club was declared, the expo was declared a private club, and that's why the sale was permitted. As far as I know, there were no arrests at the expo.
Interesting. I mean, just that whole idea that we talked a moment ago about there needs to be track and traceability, etc., in terms of how a good argument for a club should operate. So I'm not sure how, declaring it or saying we've decided the whole place is a private space
Yeah,
and it's a members club without you running a membership, being able to do the track and traceability and make sure
yeah,
that the money that was taken at the expo went to the farmer. No disrespect. I mean, this is a conversation that's about our legal space rather
yeah.
than whether it's a good thing that they did it. I think it's a fantastic thing that they did
It
it. And I
is,
think there
but it's
was,
very conflicting to declare such a big public space as a private club. It's just silly.
yeah,
It's silly. It
point
points
being,
towards the idiocy
yeah,
in prohibition
yeah,
that we have to do that.
yeah. I think it was interesting for me just in terms of what presented itself from what was at the show and being shown. Pardon me. You've been to a few over the years, and how they've changed. And I think in the last three shows, you had a very big influx of technology and fairly big players that I didn't feel like I saw. What I saw was a lot more, pardon the term, candy stores.
Yeah,
Anybody and everybody was within the club space trading in be it edibles, THC, flower, pre-rolls. I have no objection. It's an observation,
mm.
you know what I mean? And
It
it's
made me,
telling you what the marketplace is ready for.
yeah, it made me angry that selling flour was frowned upon at the previous expos, but selling edibles was not. Now at
Yes,
least we've come to a point where both are seen as cannabis because that's
yes.
what they both are.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you venture into that space, and this is a cannabis conversation, by and large. But you're already in the next space of the mushroom department saying, "Hang on
Always
a
been there in the
second, you are
background. We
exactly,
also,
you
yeah,
know," and probably equally criticized for absolutely the wrong reasons. But you now have another thing that people have a fear of because of how it's been portrayed. So you've got the next guy in queue saying, "Hang on a second, you want to talk medicine? We've got some magic for you." Pardon the pun, you know.
yeah. Yeah, no, there's always what happens around the fringes at the expo. I saw a lot of people from other countries with their suitcases full of samples and things looking to come and open shops in South Africa. Why would you leave your own country to go and open a cannabis store in a country where it isn't quite legal yet? Ridiculous. Go and fight your own fight in your own country and get your own cannabis
Do you
legal.
know? I think that's an economic argument
It
rather than
is, yeah.
anything.
It-
And whilst there isn't a marketplace there, there's an economy here, and that's what people are wanting to do here. We have half and parcel of the crime we have is because we have an economy. You know, separate conversation, and I think a lot more should be happening in the cannabis space across the whole of Africa, more specifically our catchment area of Southern Africa.
yeah.
That's got to very soon be brought together to understand routes to market and so on. You know, equally, we talk about how capable we are from a weather point of view. We're really gifted. There's other regions throughout Southern Africa that have got beautiful climates. And if we're going to
Yeah.
be a deliverer of value in the cannabis market to an international market, there's more than enough room for those persons to be included. And why I mention it is it's our job to stimulate economies on the other side of our border so that people have a reason to want to go home.
Yeah.
They want to be at home. They don't want to be here. There's no economy. So the sooner we start engaging with Southern Africa, and even if it's in a cannabis way, to create jobs at home, the better contribution we're making.
Yeah, we need to look after our own country first, and that's not what our government has been doing. The SAPRA licenses are for medical flower, to grow medical flower for export only. I mean, that's almost racist. It's telling the whole country that you can grow, but you can't sell it to your six sisters and brothers. You have to send it to Europe or America. I heard a figure yesterday, I don't know if it's true, that hemp sells for around 800 Rand a ton. So, how much hemp do you have to grow? Even
Couple
if
of
it's more
tons.
than that, how much hemp do you have to grow, and how are you going to process it? Show me all the hemp facilities in Africa. We've got zero history of ever growing hemp.
Yeah,
And should you attempt to do that, you're
yeah.
going to end up with high THC because our sunshine makes the THC levels go up. So it's almost unworkable as it stands, and they're already handing out permits.
Yeah.
It really grieves me.
Yeah. You know, for me, I'm going to try and find the positive in there because it's a gloomy situation. But the fact that we've got an industry, or we wouldn't have had an expo with local players to the extent that we did. We know that there's lots of craft farmers around that are creating employment. So I really just look forward to there being interaction between those that are in the industry and those that are chosen or have been elected to be judicial over the industry. So decide on what our regulations are. That gap gets bridged a lot quicker. People need to get to a table, the right
You
people.
are right. They
No
need to talk.
noise. Exactly. We've got to bring the right people to a table. Less is more in this instance, and let's get some stuff out there that
Yeah,
allow people to participate in this without continuing to make them criminals.
yeah, and don't make any big moves without consulting around the table.
Yeah,
I mean, look at what the Department of Health did trying to ban all edible cannabis.
yeah,
It was just bound to fail.
Yeah, Charles, I mean, just goes back to a specific for me, and it's so much about education. We spoke just now, everyone thinks it's legal, from legal in everyone's minds to the minister deciding his pen is all powerful and this is what he'll
Yeah.
do it for. So there's a massive disconnect. And I feel that industry, those that are skilled in industry and legislation, etc., they're in the industry, they know what they're dealing with, need to get to find out who are the people that have been elected from government to step forward and deal with cannabis, and that we get to take some steps forward, not wait for another pen that's decided
Yeah,
through stigma that it shouldn't go a certain way. Pardon me.
yeah, the legislators seem to assume that the general public knows how a very complex regulatory system works. The general public only sees legal and illegal. That's why they think cannabis is legal now.
Yeah.
All the pussyfooting steps in between don't matter. Just give us trade and remove the police from the picture, and it'll work a lot better already. Just
Yeah.
those two things. They overcomplicate everything. If you go look at the broader picture, almost every kind of law or regulation that our government have been trying to pass and sign in the last couple of years, they all go to court and end up being challenged. Can't they just do something proper and give us what we ask for without making it overcomplicated
Mm.
and injecting the situation with all this dogma and all this rubbish about children eating cannabis muffins? That those things can be regulated, and adults are responsible to keep children safe. It's the teachers and the parents that should look after their children. Now the kid goes and eats a muffin and ends up in hospital, and it's the cannabis industry's fault.
Yeah, look,
It's not. It's the government's fault.
absolutely, I agree with you. I think for me, the most important part of where we are is, we can jump up and down, and I've done it once or twice in terms of making an appeal, but we're at a point where we need the South African police force, not the people at the top, the people that are actually on the street, to start respecting the fact that we're doing something about this country and its unemployment. You have family members within the police force that don't have jobs, that are looking for opportunities. There's a massive situation where youth are unemployed. That's a dangerous situation. You, the police force, give us a gap. Let us develop this industry. Focus on some other stuff.
And train your people properly. We are at Fields of Green busy trying to talk to the police and to penetrate their system of training, the quota system. Is wrong, because if the police arrest somebody for cannabis, it shows up on their system as a drug charge. They get a pat on the back, and we're fighting the war on drugs, which is
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
It's just cannabis, and now it shows as a drug charge.
yeah,
That's already wrong right there, and that's why they don't stop.
yeah. Look, I think, like I say, mine is going to remain an appeal rather than a raucous fight. Is that they're citizens of this country? They're in the situation
They
where
are
they're
sisters and
victims.
brothers.
Exactly,
I've got family that are in the police.
they're victims of the same laws. So,
Yeah.
so respecting the fact that we're all citizens and knowing that you're over policing a place that's not dangerous at all.
For a plant, it's not that dangerous.
Yeah. Charles, any closing words from you? Message to the public?
Well, let's hope the minister announces the regulations for the Cannabis for Private Purposes Act sooner rather than later. Once again, my personal opinion is that they should scrap the act and bring out a broad spectrum cannabis act to cover all bases and stop messing around in one little corner. It's not workable, the Cannabis for Private Purposes Act, as we can clearly see right now. And those regulations that are supposed to follow, they're going to be very difficult, or they're going to be a mess, or both. If they bring out plant counting, we're fighting against that. There are better ways around the argument. I don't know the nitty gritty and the detail, but lawyers will be able to explain it to you. But the police are not going to come to my garden to count my plants.
Yeah.
They don't have the time. They should protect me, not
Yeah.
come count my plants. Arrest real criminals.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, Charles, thank you so very much, buddy. I've always appreciated getting the opportunity to chat with you, have a different perspective on what's actually panning out in the marketplace. You get the phone calls.
Now, I look through the keyhole. I get the phone calls. I
That's
see what's going on out there.
And thank you for the role you play in that environment. You do an exceptional job, and you've helped a lot of people avoid criminal charges, arrests, and all sorts of things. So thank you, and thank you for meeting with us today.
You're welcome. We'll do it again.
Thanks, my buddy. Bye for now. So that's it
Okay,
from
credits.
Charles at the Fields of Green for All. Stop the Cops. And we'll drop in a little bit of information during the video that Charles referred to. Other than that, ciao for now.